Okay, today we're going to make Malaysian chicken satay with Nichols ethical free-range chicken. I think Malaysian satay is one of the best in the world. I'm very biased, obviously, because I'm Malaysian, but I think it's one of the most amazing meat on a stick in the world because it's got a lot of spices and a lot of flavors jam-packed into the two components. There's two parts to this, obviously, with the sauce and the marinade, but they both start with what we call a rempah. So they basically have pretty much the same ingredients. We have shallots, red onions, lemongrass, some red chilies that have been rehydrated with hot water about 15-20 minutes, Galangal, and the salt, sugar. Instead of sugar, we have palm sugar, and for acidity, we'll have tamarind. Also, we'll finish it with a bit of lime, lime zest, and some sort of aromatics like kaffir lime leaves. Right, so first we're going to start with the marinade. First step is we're going to chop up some of the ingredients roughly, just so it blends very well, and chuck it in the blender, and that's pretty much it. If you are unsure about how much quantity, we will have the link below, but generally the rule is put as much as possible, because that shallot onion base, the more the better. Okay, so once you blended all the spices and the roots and stuff, what you're going to do is actually put a lot of oil in here in the pan, in a thick cast iron pan of some form, whatever you have, clay pot, just something low and slow, because we will be actually cooking this down probably for an hour or hour and a half, sometimes take 2 hours depending on how much water content there is. As you can see, there's a good amount of oil. You want it to cook down till all that sort of oniony flavor and sulfurous flavors are all gone, and it starts to caramelize and smells, really good. We call this rempah. Rempah just means, I don't know, paste, I guess. But yeah, this is probably the most important thing, technique-wise, you need to cooking up any Malaysian food or Southeast Asian food, really. So this is the most laborious task that, sort of all aunties will be there stirring on the pot, because there is no other way of doing it. I've tried a few different ways to modernize it. This is kind of like a roux in terms of French cooking. It's simple, but you can take it depending on how far you want it. It gives it a completely different flavor in terms of how far you caramelize the base. Just like a roux, it's the basis of a lot of different things. Last thing we're going to talk about is the peanuts. Generally, I go 1-to-1, one skin with the skin, because I think it gives it, a bit of balls, and unskin, so 1-to-1. You roast it at 150 degrees Celsius in the oven and sort of toss it as you go, just to get even browning. Okay, so with the satay sauce base, it's exactly the same process essentially as we've gone through before, except less floral notes, so less lemongrass, less tumeric, because again, like we talked about, it's mainly the satay and the spices that you want. We're going to cook this down. I've just moved that marinade into another cast iron bowl. All right, so with this, the same thing I would do for the size of that pot, or this recipe, about 16-20 people. This will be, I'll do 2 lots of these into the sauce as the base. It does look like a lot, but it does cook down to at least half or 1/3. That's what you really want. And you want to keep pushing this till all that sort of whiteness or lightness goes away. We're just going to put this same marinade to, again, heap the bloody oil. It's a festive food, so you want to get friends over and go hard on the oil. Doesn't taste good otherwise, because it's all spice-based food. You need oil as the soluble thing to actually impart the flavors of the spices, and cook that down for a couple of hours. So I've cooked down the rempah for about hour and a half, 2 hours, and if you have a look, the chicken marinade rempah is quite light compared to the satay one, which is really dark. You almost want to take it to the point where it's like a brown caramelized onion. If you look at that sort of back on the light, that's as far as we want to take it for the satay. And this, you want to have some of the yellowness left in it. So what you do is you just taste it for astringency with the onions, so make sure the astringent flavors are just gone, but still a little bit there. And that's as far as you want it for the marinade. And with this marinade that's done for the chicken, we're just going to add it to the chicken and let it marinate overnight. At this point, we're going to put some Malaysian fish curry powder. This is Baba's brand. I put about 2 to 1, 2 fish curry powder and 1 meat curry powder, just a bit. Again, up to you how spicy you want it to be, but you want to fry it off with the rempah once it's really dark, to get all the flavors into that oil just very quickly before adding the water. Once the spices have been fried up, we can just put some warm water. You can put cold water if you like, but it just takes a bit longer. You'll see the color coming back from the spices, blooming back up. It's my favorite part of cooking Malaysian food. Make sure you deglaze all the bits from around the pan with the water. Get all the flavor out of it. Next, we're going to put the peanuts in. Again, you want to be very careful how much you blend it, so not too fine, otherwise you might as well put peanut butter, and not too coarse, otherwise get it really chunky. So that's sort of about the right amount. Some mixture of chunky and some mixture of smaller stuff. I'm now just going to also add the aromatics to the satay sauce. Again, keep scraping, just make sure you never get catching. So we're going to put some cinnamon sticks in there, some kaffir lime leaves. Again, this is probably not very traditional, but why the hell not? Just adding as much flavor in as possible. Also with the lemongrass stalks that we had before, just put it in a little knot. Doesn't really matter, it just makes it easy to fish out later. Just chuck that straight in. And you want to cook it down till you see that shine, the little sort of oily shine on the top, because the oil comes out of the legume or the nut or the peanut, and that's pretty much ready. From here you just want to finish off with some tamarind and salt and palm sugar. Right, with the palm sugar, we're going to try to smash it up because it cooks much more evenly if you do smash it up into the mix and stir that through. All right, to finish, if you have a look at the sauce, this is the consistency we want. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much water to put in, but this is exactly what you need to achieve, this consistent and this look. So you got to get that nice oily sheen on the top as well. So if you're not getting that, you need to put more oil in. And then what we're going to do from there is just finish it with some tamarind. Again, this will not be in the recipe. I will give you some approximate, but really you just got to do it to taste, especially with the water and salt and oil, because depending on what peanuts you do, the factors will change quite a bit. So a bit of salt as well. Again, the salt and the tamarind will depend on how much water is in this paste.